You're a closer and you've got the skills, you've got the calls, and you've got people who are sitting there on calls ready to buy from you. But still, for some reason, they keep on slipping by. They're always telling you that they want to get started, but something is just holding them back. Even though you know exactly what you're offering is exactly the thing they need, they're still slipping through your fingers like water. They ghost you and they never come back. That is actually not a sales problem. That is a story problem. If you can't sit through this video for 50 minutes that could completely change your life, I'm so sorry, but you are not gonna make it. And the thing is though, your prospect is stuck in what's called a narrative. This is a narrative that they were given. It's your job as the closer to pull them out of that narrative completely so they can have a completely different trajectory. After $27 million in sales, the thing I've learned is people don't actually say no to the offer. They say no to themselves because they've lost complete belief. There is no such thing as what's called a virgin buyer. All the buyers have gone through sales calls, they've invested in themselves, they've done something, and the thing that you need to have is increase belief in themselves, because the belief in themselves is what's going to help you get the sale. Is their fear is living rent-free in their head. So what they're thinking when they're on a call with you, what if I follow through and it's just another failure waiting to happen? Because the thing is though, the real enemy on your sales call actually isn't the price. What the real enemy on your sales calls is the doubt. The doubt that sits in their head that lives completely rent-free. It's the doubt that holds them hostage. It's a doubt that stops them from being able to actually live the life they want. And it's a doubt that you need to help them overcome. And this is where your job isn't actually to pitch the prospect. Your job is to lead them back to belief. Once you've led them back to belief, then what you've done is you put yourself into what's called the trusted advisor. And this is where very few closers actually get to. This is the level that closers reach 60, 70, 80% close rates, rather than sitting at a measly 20%, hoping that one day you're gonna make a 50K month, because it's never gonna happen. And I've watched prospects that should have closed, they walk, not because they're saying no to the price, they're walking because they can't trust themselves. But the top closers, the ones who close 10, 15, 20, 30K packages, not the measly $3,000 ones that you think you're gonna get a $300 check on and be able to buy the car that you want. That is never gonna happen. And I'm gonna show you how you're gonna be able to level up to 10, 15, $20,000 closes by the end of this video. Top closers, the guys making stupid money, what they do is they sell the moment the prospect actually feels internally ready, not externally ready, where the prospect feels like they can trust themselves to dive in one more time because you've built the belief in them, not having to shove the product down their throat. Because here's the truth, every sale happens twice. So the first sale is when the sale happens emotionally. Then the second sale is the logical, when they justify the decision, not to themselves, but internally to the subconscious mind, saying that they can feel safe and they can lower the guard. What I call this is the shields down approach. This is where you help a prospect lower their internal resistance so they can feel safe to be able to actually make a decision. This is where very few closers get to. And this is why I see closers having objection battles and boxing matches at the end of their calls, because they never truly lower resistance. They just try to ignore it like the elephant in the room. And the more you ignore it, the bigger consistency gets, because people don't buy the best offer. What they buy is the one that makes them feel comfortable and safe in saying yes. I'll give you an example. Once I was on a call with a lady and she had everything. She had the budget, she had the tenacity, she had everything right in the palm of her hands. But the thing that she didn't have is she didn't have the belief in herself that she could make it work. She's bought all the programs before and she struggled with them. Not because the programs let her down, it's because her subconscious completely let her down. And what I meant by that is her identity never actually aligned with being able to make a decision and stick with it. And on that call, we got right to the end, and that's when she hesitated. And this is where I see most closers absolutely crumble, because what I did on that call, instead of telling her that she has to make the decision or she has to become this person, all I gave her was somebody to recognize the things that are most important to her and the identity she was craving for. So what I said to her at the end of the call, very, very simply, was I said, this isn't about giving you more tools or adding to you. It's about you being able to trust yourself to make a decision one more time to become the lady you actually want to be. And the thing that she told me is nothing has ever changed for her before. And I felt that. I felt that she really wanted to change, but she's feeling internal resistance. Again, this is where the shields down approach becomes absolutely pivotal. So what happens in this is there is an invisible sale. There's a sale where you force them down a script with fancy language patterns, and then there's a sale where it's an actual just human to human interaction. This is where you actually connect human to human. So what I'm going to show you here is what I told her. Instead of telling her that she needs to make a change, what I told her is this decision isn't about adding more tools to your belt. What this decision is you being able to finally, for the first time in many years, actually put yourself first. And it's going to feel uncomfortable, and that's probably where the resistance is coming from. However, this is where you can actually decide to truly believe in yourself and make a decision to put yourself first one more time and completely prove yourself right. After that, her guard completely lowered. What happened was she said, that's the first time anyone has ever recognized me, because as a single mom, she's never had anyone recognize her before because she's always put herself last. That equated to her changing her life. That equated to her having a new belief. That equated to her completely putting herself first for the first time in so many years. And the best part about this is I got paid to help her change her life, which is actually the most rewarding part. Now, here's what closers miss the most. Trust doesn't actually peak at the close, it actually completely resets. Before the sale, they trust the vision. They've seen the marketing, they've seen all the fancy things, they've seen the testimonials. That is where the trust is at its highest. However, the thing is though, as soon as they are about to pay or they have paid, if you fumble, if you don't have time to first value, if you don't help them feel special, if you don't help them feel comfortable, that's when the trust has completely reset. And that's when they are at their point of most turbulence. They need to feel your leadership. They need to feel your certainty. And this is where if you fumble one or two words, or you look shady, or your eyes are going everywhere, it's gonna cost you the most money. And I'll tell you an example. The fastest refund I ever got was when I first getting started in sales. The guy was so hyped on the call. He was making all these amazing decisions and he was like, I really want to do this. And then he got all hyped up and then he paid in full. What happened after that is I didn't message him fast enough after the call. I didn't reaffirm the decision. I didn't help him reaffirm the new identity he's falling into. He refunded within 45 minutes. He didn't refund because the offer wasn't for him. He refunded because he didn't actually fully accept the decision. He didn't fully accept himself and he actually couldn't trust himself. And the thing that he refunded was the feeling, the fear that's been holding him hostage. And that's where I completely let him down. But this is where when you finish a call, immediately after reaffirming the new identity, sending them a text, then the following day, sending them another text, the check-in, the handover process to the customer service team, it all has to line up because what you got to do is focus on what's called time to first value. Here's the thing, you actually might think the price is the issue for the prospect when it never really is, because as long as it gets them the result, they're willing to pay whatever it is to get away from the pain. How often do you see people making big decisions, 5K decisions? Not very often. But what you often see is you see people making small decisions. For example, it's only $9 a month for Netflix. My gym membership is only $16 a week. My car payments are only $400 a week. They only make small decisions. They make what's called a monthly decisions. And this is where most closers get absolutely stuck, because what they do, people buy things in what's called a rhythm. They buy things on monthly. They justify in their head monthly. Because if you look at, for example, most people, they get paid monthly. So when they get paid monthly, their head is focused on the rhythm of knowing that they're going to get paid. So when you hit them with 5,000, they're not thinking, oh, that's 5,000 to get me to where I want to go. They go, that's a whole month out of rhythm because I have to pay that. That's the money that they have for storage. That's the money they have for savings. And that's where they get absolutely stuck in their head because they go, it's such a big decision. So when you frame your offer as working within the rhythm, rather than working against them and forcing them to make big decisions, you're gonna have less resistance at the end of the call. Because the thing is though, let's say you hit someone with a 6K offer. You hit them with 6K at the end of the call, what is it gonna do? Immediately the brain's gonna go, that's too much? No, because it doesn't fall within the rhythm. Let's say they make 6K a month. That is 1 month out of their whole entire year that is going towards investing. So what you wanna do is you wanna break it down into, it is 6K. That is only $1,500 per month for the next 6 months. What that breaks down to is gonna get you to 10K a month. So what you do is which scares them immediately. Then from there, you break it down to a monthly, which works within the rhythm. And then you sell the outcome. It's gonna get you to 10K a month. What happens is then their mind resets, the resistance is gonna lower, and they're gonna feel a whole heap more comfortable with you. Because the thing is though, they're already familiar with smaller numbers. They're familiar with rhythmic numbers. So if you break it down that way, then they're gonna feel more comfortable, even if they are gonna pay in full. Because what happens is big numbers completely break the brain. Rhythms close the gap. So those are 2 tips that are gonna absolutely change the game for you. That's where you're gonna fight the invisible sale and you can be able to see better results. You're a decision maker for people who forgot how to make decisions for themselves. Because in the society these days, people have lost complete trust in themselves because everyone's making decisions for them. If you think about it, people choose how much you're worth. People choose what you should be eating. People choose everything. You're following videos and people are telling you shouldn't eat carrots because it's gonna make your skin orange. Whatever it is, people are having decisions made for them every single day. This is where you help your prospects finally make decisions for themselves. You give them the belief to be able to trust themselves, and that's where you're gonna be able to have more sales with less friction. You don't actually sell solutions. You sell the moment that people stop bullshitting themselves. Every conversation you have, you're either reinforcing someone's beliefs or reigniting their new beliefs to get to where they want to go. And that's where you're gonna help them put themselves in the best possible situation for success. The best closers, the ones I've trained, the guys who are making 50, 60, 70K a month, they don't chase, they don't convince, they help people reinforce the good beliefs. Then they create conditions within the call that the prospect can feel 100% comfortable with themselves and they can feel the relief to finally say yes in a comfortable manner. And they can do that without the risk. So if you're ready to become that kind of closer, subscribe, because this isn't about closing more sales. This is about becoming the person that changes everything for them. And if you want more of this, comment below what you want to see, and I'll see you very soon.